Hello, my name is Jeff Rolka. I want to thank you for checking out my video. This is Community Questions 4, where I post, hey, do you have any questions? And people say, I have this question, and then I answer them. Here, I had a very witty joke about this, and I've forgotten it. So we do what we can. Anyways, thank you if you've chosen to subscribe. If you haven't yet, I hope you'll do so now. That lack of a joke may have dissuaded you, but it's usually not like that. There are other ways to support my channel. Those are in the description, and if you want a step-by-step method to check out your voice, work with airflow, etc., jeffrolka.com is the website. The AAA method is there. You just need to sign up for the newsletter. You get an email with the passcode. All right. I'm also going to be having a cup of tea during this Q&A, so do forgive me if I indulge myself from time to time here. Hey Jeff, I can't figure out if I'm an underdeveloped tenor or a high baritone. What can I do to figure it out? Keep practicing, work on your vowel alignment. Your vowel alignment will reveal the location of your secondo passaggio, and that will do a lot to inform you as to which Fock you may be. You haven't mentioned your age. Lower range Focks tend to develop later on in life. So if you're in your 20s, you may not really have a firm Fock designation for a while. If you're on the cusp between like E and F, and again, vowel alignment first, Fock determination second. If you're on the cusp, you can actually train to do either, and be quite successful at that. Yeah. Any tips for boys going through a vocal change? How do you get rid of that awkward puberty crack? And the next question, they came in together. Can you give tips for teens going through puberty and vocal exercises to find mixed and head voice? In both of those cases, I would actually recommend you focus on skills that will serve you beyond that period where your voice is changing, because your voice is changing. So spending a lot of time on trying to determine mixed range or head voice and all that, it's all going to be different once you're done with it. And I just feel like there are better ways to use your time. Focus on your thyroarytenoid dominant singing voice. That alone is going to be tough enough with your voice doing all that it's going to be doing. But you can work on your apogeo breath management system. That will serve you long after your voice changes. You can work on reading music and understanding rhythm and studying repertoire. All of that will inform your musicianship and your artistry and will serve you well past the point at which your voice changes. And once it's gone through that change and it begins to settle down, then start exploring the area of the secondo passaggio with all of that breath work that you've done, all of that vowel alignment practice you've done in the thyroarytenoid, the chest voice area of your voice. And that will facilitate really working through that area and making good transitions and just growing musically in general. What sort of exercises can I do to fix my tone? I feel like it's too nasally, and in theory I know how to fix that, but I don't know how to do it in practice. I did a video some time ago called Mask Resonance, and the thing about that video is it was done with the idea of learning to become sensitized to that mask resonance, which is really just releasing the soft tissue and getting good adduction of the vocal folds so you get a nice, brilliant singer's formant in your sound. But you can do the practices in that video. It's mask resonance. And the thing is that once you become sensitized to that, then you have more of a choice. I really like the NG sound for this practice. So there, I'm using a lot of mask resonance, and that translates to but equally, I can sensitize myself to that experience and practice directing it back a little bit. Now, in truth, we need a little bit of that. If I had it entirely D-nasal, that wouldn't really sound right either. It's a mix, and quite frankly, different genres require different amounts of it. So if you're in theater, or you need an awful lot of projection, that singer's formant, that's your friend. Hi, Jeff. I'll start off by saying thank you very much for all these vocal lesson videos. You're very welcome. Oh. My singing and tone have improved very much. Fantastic. My question is in regards to hitting the higher notes. I am a baritone. Every time I try to hit a D4, I feel like wanting to push from my chest voice so that it's easier. That habit can cause issues because if you're pushing too much, then you can, in fact, have too much energy on the thyroarytenoid musculature, the chest voice muscles, and that can prohibit the vocal folds from elongating and making a smooth transition to your upper register. And I think that's part of what the problem is here, because it's easier. So the concept there is that that's the easy thing to do, or that feels comfortable, it feels familiar. Familiarity around this range can be a really, really difficult pitfall to work our way around. And when I try to go for a lighter feel, it sounds too airy. That's your vocal fold adduction. So there's adduction, where the vocal folds are moving towards the center of the body's by symmetry, or abduction, where they're moving away. To make a smooth transition to our upper register, if we've carried too much weight, it's quite likely that the vocal fold will not be able to elongate, and instead of elongating and staying adducted, it stays that same length and separates to facilitate those higher notes. But if we balance it, then we can learn to allow the vocal fold to elongate, stay adducted, and we get that transition. Now, I know I go on and on about not eating spicy foods before I teach or shoot videos. I failed today. I had to have the sriracha with lunch. So I'm a little phlegmy. So that gristle that you're hearing there, if I could lay off the sriracha a little bit, you wouldn't hear that little, it's hanging around back there. But that's my head voice on the top notes, and then I'm coming back into my chest voice. My transition's right, kind of not quite the middle of that scale, but just the upper edge of it. And we have to balance things out through this area of our voices in order to make that transition. So D4, if you're starting to like lay into the chest voice because it's felt easier in the past, well, that habit we need to circumvent. I did a 3-part series, how to sing high notes. Check it out. Like that's where I go through it's kind of a step-by-step process, but it's pretty fast-paced in that 3-part series. My high note boot camp is really where I break this process down into incredibly small increments. Unfortunately, enrollment for that just closed, but if you get on my newsletter, you'll be notified when it reopens. Hello, Jeff. It's been a while. I hope all is well. Thank you. Things are going pretty well. I was working with singing warm-up tenor range, full range, intermediate difficulty. Solid. Posted some time in 2018, yes. At the end, you have a minor exercise saying, yeah. I am not sure if that is good representation. Fair enough, it is. It's what I sang there, I believe, was in minor, too. So it was, ya, 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 ya. And what are we trying to accomplish with this? Instead of the cardinal vowels. Just curious. Thank you so much. Catch up soon. Just a little chill out, really. That's all that is just a nice kind of ya, 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 ya. It is an ah vowel, but it has that ah at the end of it, and has the diphthong ya at the beginning of it. And it's all meant to be very, very smooth and melodious, and it's in a minor tonality so that it kind of perks our ears up a little bit, and maybe we think about it a little differently. And that's all that I meant by that. It's just meant to be a nice way to chill out. So, Mr. Rolka, what is your favorite type of singing to coach on? Maybe it's opera or classical or Broadway and contemporary. An interesting question. Okay, so let's take this in tiers. First tier, I think of my thing, what I feel I am here to do is to facilitate your artistry. So if I'm working with you, then I want to work on the music that inspires you, that like sets you on fire, figuratively speaking, of course. And that I find extremely exciting when you've got a vocalist who is really committed to a genre and they're excited about it and they're excited about their repertoire. That inspires me. And so I find that very, very exciting and stimulating. I must admit, though, I really, really do enjoy working with songwriters who are writing their own material and prepping it for performances or recording. I find that to be really, really fun, and I just enjoy being on that level with the songwriter and working them through that process and getting them going and seeing them take their pieces from sometimes just the sort of thought phase of it where it's not done to the finished song to the recording or the performance. That is really, really exciting for me. But again, like, they're passionate about that, and that's really the underlying principle here, is that if you're passionate about singing it, then I want to help you figure out how to use your voice in the best way to do that. Hello, Jeff. First of all, I'd like to thank you for helping me chase my dreams. Awesome, you're welcome. Your videos have helped me improve so much, so here are my questions. What's the difference between chest voice and belting? Well, okay. So, unfortunately, the belting, that word gets used to mean a lot of different things. Like ask 3 singing instructors and they may give you 3 different answers. So, belting, in the school of thought that I am in, is when you are in the zona de passaggio or at the secondo passaggio, and you are increasing breath energy such that the thyroarytenoid muscles are not giving up control of the vocal fold and allowing the cricothyroids to elongate it. In other words, you are preventing the transition to head voice from occurring. So by that definition, belting only really occurs when you're in the vicinity of the secondo passaggio. Chest voice would be the range below that, and specifically I would say it's below the area of the primo passaggio. To put this in concrete terms, for the male tenor, for example, chest voice, thyroarytenoid dominant singing, C4 and below. C4 to F4 is going to be the zona de passaggio, also called the mix range. This is where the thyroarytenoid dominant singing voice is beginning to allow the cricothyroid musculature to elongate the vocal fold. In other words, we're doing incremental changes to move into our head voice. If we don't do those incremental changes, then we are belting more and more and more as we approach the secondo passaggio. And it is my opinion that belting is fine if that's what you want to do, just I would stick to within a major second of the secondo passaggio. Beyond that, and vocal fatigue starts to increase quite dramatically, intonation becomes more problematic. There's all sorts of different things that can occur that way. And how can I make sure I'm using head voice, not falsetto? Main difference between there and there, falsetto has a separation in the vocal fold. Head voice is an adducted or closed. It's called closed, but I find that problematic because the vocal folds are really moving open and closed. So I say adducted because the vocal folds, when adducted, are continuously moving towards the center line of the body. So, for example, I sang it a few minutes ago, but if I sing this and I allow my voice, so let's do all 3, right? Here's belting. Here's head voice. I'll stick to A. So that way you can get a better sense of the differences and the similarities. And then here's falsetto, or a falsetto tone production. The thing is that when we're in our actual falsetto range, that abduction or separation serves to shorten the vibrational length of the vocal fold, and the sound remains consistent. So if, for example, I sang I sang up into my falsetto range, but it's fairly consistent with the rest of those transitions. So I was at the primo passaggio at C4, I went across the secondo passaggio, I crossed my next registration event to falsetto, and I came back down. Chest voice, head voice, falsetto, head voice, chest voice. And I think that's it. Thank you so much. I had a very, very short period where I took questions for this because I wanted to be able to spend a little bit more time or focus more in depth on the specifics of each of the questions. I hope that helps. My name is Jeff. Take really good care of your voices. Enjoy singing. Enjoy your cup of tea. And I'll see you again. Bye.